Hello everybody, so Akali just came out on the PBE, and just like I did with the Aatrox rework, I figured I would do a gameplay commentary again since it went so well last time. I'm pretty excited to hop into this. Akali, in general, is one of those champions where I feel like she didn't drastically need a rework, but her kit was so simple and there was so much potential that you could get from reworking her, that just reworking her was a great idea, and I think it turned out perfectly. Well, almost perfectly. We'll see how it goes in this game, but in the practice tool, I really do enjoy the new Akali. I don't think much was lost from the initial kit of Akali, especially compared to what we just had with Aatrox, which is kind of controversial since he changed so drastically, and I don't necessarily agree with Riot reworking champions and then changing their gameplay kit extremely drastically. Especially when they change Poppy from a fighter to a tank, but I could get into a whole rant about that. But Akali's still the same, still an assassin, still has an auto attack reset, still has that shroud, still even has that ultimate dash, and everything is just more skill expressive. There's more skill shots, and it's less binary. The way I always saw Akali from the assassin roster is that she stood out as like the simple assassin, like the assassin where you just go in, press all your damage abilities, and then you also have the shroud on top of that, which is super annoying to deal with. One of my least favorite qualities of Akali, specifically playing against it, is her shroud because it slows, she's invisible. It's like when she puts it down and you're against her, what do you really do to make sure she doesn't escape? You can't stand in the middle of the shroud because you're gonna get slowed, and no matter what end she comes out, she's always gonna outrun you. And then you could guard some of the edges, but then she could just go to the opposite side of the shroud, and it's basically a free escape, especially after they added the mini dash to it, where it could go over walls. So, the old shroud was super annoying. Luckily, this shroud is fixed where it does not slow. It still has that outplay potential, it still has that invisibility aspect, but it's not as clunky. It doesn't slow the enemy, it doesn't give resistances like it did way back when, which was kind of weird, even though that hasn't been a thing for a while. And yeah, I just think the kit has overall improved. The one thing I would say that was lost from previous Akali is kind of like the simplicity of the kit, which has been happening with a lot of reworks. Even simple champs like Warwick, when they got reworked, added a skill shot to his ultimate, and a couple of things are more skill expressive. And the same thing happened to Akali, where even though I guess the Q isn't too hard to land, it's still a skill shot, which is definitely harder to land than a targeted ability. And the E seems kind of hard to land, although her kit overall doesn't seem super complicated and hard to play. So let's just get into this right here. I'll be changing the cursor back to Legacy just because I'm more used to it. I'm sure I'll get used to the new cursor as I play it more on live servers. But for now, let's just use the Legacy cursor. We also have the new Pool Party map assets, which look pretty nice. Red buff looks actually ridiculous. I haven't seen anything else yet. I'm not sure if this recommended is still based off original Akali, because the weird thing about this Akali is that her scalings are kind of more AD heavy than previously. I went in the practice tool and played full AP and full AD, and I still think full AP is stronger, but early game it looks like AD would be a bit stronger, but luckily you do start with just a normal amount of AD, and I guess the adaptive stats just default to AD, so I think she's still meant to be built full AP, but the recommended items could just not be updated, and she could be meant to be an AD champion. I'm not really sure on that. Holy shit. We used to have side boob on Akali, apparently now we have side ass, and this skin in particular. I will say for the Akali rework, she is the best visual update that Riot has put out in a long time. I'd say since Twitch and Karthus way back when. I think Urgot visually was a huge upgrade, and Evelyn was a huge upgrade, but Akali is just such a great upgrade. Like, I feel like she has personality now in her visual design. I feel like before she was just like a super generic green assassin, and now she kind of has this this theme of being like a super fit female champion, which oddly enough hasn't really been explored in League too much before. You did have a Lowy, but she's more like bulky, and this is like a more ninja, like slim version of someone who's like extremely fit. And it's kind of weird considering how like there's a lot of female assassins like Katarina and Diana and a bunch of other female characters, and they're not really buff at all in the upper part of the body, but Akali is. But I don't know, I just really like the visual design of Akali for obvious reasons, and I don't know, I just like it in general. Holy shit. So the important part of the new Akali is proccing her passive. So her passive has this weird thing where like when you land an ability, you get the ability to proc the passive, but you don't get the passive until you like pass the circle. And once you pass through the circle, you get movement speed buff and an auto attack enhancement. And the auto attack enhancement actually gives her a lot of range. She feels more like a ranged champion. I guess a difference between this Akali and the previous Akali is that she's more kind of like a range based. The previous Akali, the only ranged ability you really had was like the first half of your Q, which really didn't do jack shit. But with this Akali, you have your Q, you have your E, and then you also have the passive, which I really, really enjoy Akali's passive. Maybe it's just because I got my first kill on it, because this is my first actual gameplay of Akali outside the practice tool, but I don't know. It's really fun to use, and it's actually really fluent, the animations. Holy, that is actually really fun to use. What the fuck? I used that thinking I'd actually get like a jump. I guess it does give movement speed though, so it is a good catch-up tool. Holy shit, dude. That is actually so fun to use. Okay. I guess this is a really thin skill shot with E. I might actually play Akali. So something about me is that I'm not really a huge assassin player. I mostly play fighters, but I do like the assassin playstyle. Like, I do play a decent amount of Echo, especially when he could be built tank. Rest in peace. And I actually play some Kha'Zix, and I do play a lot of Pyke. So I like the assassin playstyle, and I also love Elise, which kind of has an assassin-like playstyle. But I don't know, I've just kind of been bad at assassins, I guess? Holy fuck! Is this champion OP, or am I just good? What the I feel like this champ's OP. I guess E is kind of a hard skill shot to land, but damn, that's a lot of base damage on the passive. And that does, bonus. So it's the base 90, and then, holy shit, dude. Maybe going 8, that's bonus magic damage, though, so I probably would want to go Lich Bane and shit. That shit's so fucking fun, dude. Holy shit. I've actually had... I think... it's like... I don't know if Akali's OP or I'm just having a lot of fun. This is actually the most fun I've had in League in a while. Because League, actually, for me recently, has been pretty frustrating with the new meta. Especially since it doesn't really suit my macro-based playstyle. And obviously, Akali... I'm just fucking kids up. But, I don't know. I'm just having fun, which I usually haven't been doing recently as much as I would like. Maybe this rework will make all the people who are making, oh, League's dying videos come back, because this shit's actually so fun. I'm actually kind of surprised with all the high amount of, like, League is dying videos that have come out recently, so I might actually make a video talking about why I like League, kind of the opposite. Looks like I'm getting poked down quite a bit here. My ult doesn't cost anything. The cool thing about the Q is that it actually has a low cooldown, but it has a high energy cost. So you're really more gated by energy than cooldown, which is kind of nice. It also means you don't really have to itemize cooldown reduction too much, although I guess Shuriken Flip does have a long cooldown, but I don't know how much you'd be spamming that. I'm pretty sure it hits minions. Does it go through minions? Let me see. I'm not sure, because that shit fucking ended too quickly. Rip. I actually didn't check that. Luckily, I'm manaless, so it's not a huge waste. Also, I haven't even used my Twilight Shroud. I feel like I could be utilizing that. Although I feel like it's only really good for escapes. And I guess maneuvering around? Not really sure how I'd use the Twilight Shroud. I haven't really played a lot of old Akali. I know her kit. And I know what she can do. Although she is a pretty straightforward champion. I'm not really used to, like, utilizing the Shroud, but... I don't know. The Shroud's a bit different, so I don't know how I'd utilize it. Okay, yeah, that's a lot of damage. And it has no cooldown. I feel like if they were to nerf this champ, they would put a cooldown on the passive, because you can actually proc the passive twice. Since your E has 2 casts to it, it has like the backflip and landing the skill shot, and then it has the dash in if you do land a skill shot, kind of like a Lee Sin Q. So if you hit that backflip, and then if you go close enough to use the passive, then dash back in, you can use the passive again. Although it is a bit more difficult than just that, because it isn't like a straight sheen effect. It's kind of like a sheen effect, but it's not a straight sheen effect because you obviously have to get past like the little circle. So it's definitely not as bursty as, like, say someone who would have like a sheen auto attack reset type passive. But I don't know, it's really fun to use too. I feel like Celerity is a very good rune to take. These are my runes, by the way, if you guys want to look. But I feel like Celerity is a super good rune to take on Akali because you get a shit ton of movement speed in the passive, and that's when you're going to be doing most of your burst damage. And obviously Celerity gives a lot of AD/AP for your movement speed, so it will just add some extra burst there. I'm gonna be maxing E second. I really don't know if maxing E or W second's better. I mean, I know W's straight utility, but it kind of seems like the upgrades are better for it. It has like more movement speed, more duration. Shuriken Flip really just has lower cooldown and more damage, but we'll see, we'll see. That is fucking stupid. That is not okay. Okay, that doesn't go through minions, thank God. If it did, that'd be way too strong. Oh. Oh, let me move, let me move, let me move. Fuck. Holy, that's fun. That is fun. Okay. I mean, this champion might be overtuned. I don't know if this Lissandra's bad. I mean, she doesn't know how to play against Akali since it just came out, which is a fair I mean, that's a good reason to be bad against this, but I don't know. I feel like the I feel like the damage values on this are way too high. Look at the scaling, dude. All I have, I mean, I have pretty good items for 9 minutes in, but all I have is like 75 AP, 100 AD, and this already does like what, 150 damage, upwards to 200, like close-ish to 200. I'm not really good at on-the-fly math, but. And then you also have this, and then... Oh, it would be, like, closer to 300 because of your attack damage as well. I don't know. Maybe getting AD would be good. What if Storm Razor would be good? I might get Storm Razor just to check it out. That seems like it'd be super strong. But yeah, honestly, for, like, missing the old rework, I feel like this is one of those kits where it's like, I mean, obviously, as you can tell from this gameplay, I do prefer the new kit, but even as someone who can appreciate the old kit, I don't think there's going to be much to miss here. I mean, the Shroud is the most important thing, it's still in the kit, and then you can still dash around, and, I mean, who would really miss her old E? It's just like an AoE thing, it's not really an iconic ability. I guess the only thing you would miss is, like, the sustain you can get from the passive, because right now you only can get healed if you're at high energy, which is a little strange. Fuck. Yeah. I feel like if you get super good at chaining the passive, that's what would make you a really good Akali player. And I also feel like, okay, so I also feel like, but I'm just rambling, so this is how I ramble. So with Akali, what makes her iconic, compared to the other assassins, is kind of that she's like more of a fighter-style assassin. I feel like she stays in the fight longer than a normal assassin would. Most assassins are just like burst, jump around, get out. And she does have like this jumping around and dashing and trying to avoid stuff by dashing and using mechanics. But I feel like especially because of her assassin mark in this rework, since she needs to keep like moving in and out, and she needs to like be in the fray more than another assassin would. Like most assassins go in and then like run away like really far away, like Zed just pressing alt and then spamming all this shit and then like dashing away. But with Akali, you kind of need to go in, out to keep applying the passive, which kind of keeps true to her old playstyle where she needed to like stay in the fight maybe a bit longer than a normal assassin would because of her passive, where she would do bonus 2 enhanced attacks with her autos, which makes her being in the fight for longer. Also, I apologize if I'm not extremely proactive in my gameplay, since I'm not super good at playing and talking at the same time. I kind of get distracted a bit. Let's see what I can do here. Holy. I really need to play this champion more. Fuck. Yeah, I forgot about the delay between the dashes. Yeah, there's like a 2-second delay between the dashes. I was kind of thinking of going in and dashing and then dashing back out, but... Oh, and I thought the stun was on the second part of the dash. It's not. The first part is the stun, and then the second part is the execute. So what I'd do is I'd dash in, apply my marks as much as possible with my basic abilities, and obviously the ult, and then I would use my last ult to execute them. Okay. That's something I did not know. It's my bad. Yeah, I feel like this champion is really strong, though. I just need to get better at it, obviously. Damn. I just love everything about this rework, because, like, even before the gameplay came out, I mean, obviously it's kind of hard to tell how good the gameplay would be from, like, the previews, and there's a day between announcing a champion and it coming out on PBE. But I don't know, all day I was just, like, gushing about the fucking visuals of this champion. It's so nice. I can't believe I missed that. Oof. Okay, nice. I feel like this champion does need to be bursty, though, since you, like, get in the fray a lot, and if you're not bursty, you're kind of just gonna die. Like that. That's a lot of tank. I don't know. I really do like that she's an assassin that's kind of more... has a fighter style of playing. She isn't, like, extremely in and out like a lot of other assassins. I would maybe compare her to... I was gonna say someone like Kayn, but Shadow Assassin Kayn is kind of like going in and bursting down as well, but it's a nice hybrid between assassin gameplay and then like just staying in the fight. I've said that so many times, but I don't know. It's a gameplay style I enjoy. I feel like Riot really did a good job with trying to like make the energy meaningful, because before they just kind of put energy on any champion who's like a ninja. It's like, oh, there's a ninja champ, it'd be cool if they had energy. Not really thinking about it, but it's kind of cool that she has like a really low cooldown Q, but it's gated more by energy, so it's kind of a different style of playing. Although I don't really play a lot of energy champions, so maybe most energy champs are like this and I just don't know. Fuck. But yeah, there's definitely ways to counter it, but I feel like if you're a really skilled Akali player, you wouldn't really be getting into the situations that I am currently. So yeah, overall, I do think this is probably the best rework Riot has done. It's really hard to say compared to Warwick, since I think Warwick was just so perfect. I feel like Warwick had less potential to fuck up, though. I don't know. Like, I feel like with different champion projects, there's more potential for Riot to fuck up. Like, with Assassins, I feel like they're probably the... like, if your favorite champion's gonna get reworked and it's an Assassin, I think it's a good bet that it's gonna stay pretty similar. Because The biggest problem I have with Riot reworks is when they change a playstyle completely. Like, for example, they changed Aatrox completely from an auto attacker to spellcaster. But if you're reworking an assassin, the playstyle is going to stay the same, because the assassins only have one playstyle, which is going and bursting, dashing around, trying to like avoid shit. And I mean, if you take away that playstyle, they're not really an assassin. But with people like Aatrox, like, there can be fighters who are spell cast attack based, there can be fighters that are auto attack based, there could be a lot of different fighters. It's a more broad class. So if you're reworking a fighter champion, there is a higher chance that the playstyle could get like completely changed. I really like the animation with the Q passive. Or, it's not a Q passive anymore, but just with the little, what the fuck is that called? Kama. I'm probably saying that super wrong, but, I don't know. That little ranged scythe thing. Really cool. Holy! Get me out of here! Whoa! 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 Fuck. I was too busy celebrating shit. That's pretty clutch. But I probably had Janna help me. Janna probably did all that for me, and I was just like, it looked clutch, so I say all me. In a way, I'm actually not surprised that this rework is really good, mainly because of the assassin thing I said earlier, and also this rework's made by Certainly T, which is pretty infamous for making champions like Zoe and Yasuo and stuff like that, which are actually, I'd say, successful designs since they're such popular champions, even though they're canceled to play games. But I feel like Certainly T has made like really good reworks so far, since he made Warwick, which is his only other rework, but with this one now, I feel like his track record is like the best for making new new reworks. Whereas someone who made, the person who made Aatrox probably shouldn't be making reworks again just because the kit was good, but as we can see by professional play, balance-wise, it's pretty problematic, which isn't necessarily his fault since he's the designer, not the balancer. And then also, it's just so different from the original kit. It's just way too different for me to approve of the rework. Even if it is technically better than the old kit, it's just too different. Fuck. That's really not. I feel like I'm versus champions who are just really annoying for assassins. We got Lissandra, which I was kicking her ass, but she does have a decent amount of CC. And then we just have Pyke and Rammus that kind of just fucks up everything. And nobody else on my team's doing well. I just realized everyone's in thing. So, I'm gonna try and start carrying now. See what I can actually do on this champion. Try to play to my greatest ability. There we go. The one thing I like about her Q is that if you have enough energy, you can actually spam it twice in one fight. Sometimes you can spam it faster than actually getting to the edge to proc your passive. How did I not get the passive off? I landed my Q on her. Holy dude. Fuck, I wish they weren't so fast, dude. I guess it's hard to stick on to people. Maybe I should get a Rylai's. Her wave clear's pretty good though with her Q. Definitely more satisfying to use than her shitty E. I hated that ability. Okay, so unfortunately this game ended up being a loss, and I did show a good showing in the early game, but I wanted to record some more gameplay to get a good like mid and late game showing for you guys. But unfortunately, with the quality of PBE games, I haven't been able to get that footage for you guys. I've tried for multiple days trying to get an Akali game, and most of the time I'm just not able to get one just because of draft pick, and most people aren't willing to trade out Akali right now. And then when I do, obviously people on PBE are extremely bad. I actually think the quality of PBE has gone down in recent years ever since they opened it up to anybody who has Honor 3. Basically everybody on PBE is shit, which used to be the case before that, but now they are shit and have a horrible attitude, so I just can't get a good Akali game to show off to you guys, unfortunately. But I hope this is good enough for you guys. I definitely enjoyed playing the new Akali. I want to look into it more. I do think there could be some cool AD builds that you could go because our scalings on AD are so high. I really want to try out Stormrazor. I really want to try out stuff like Rapid Fire Cannon because it is actually kind of difficult to proc the passive because there is like it does take a bit of time to like go through the circle, and that kind of cuts down on the burst. So another thing I was actually thinking of going on Akali is Phase Rush, because even though Electrocute works very, very well on her for some good bursts, I do think Phase Rush could help proc her passive more quickly, which could help a lot towards the late game, because that's kind of the trouble I'm having late game, as her damage is kind of gated by how fast she can walk through her passive. So the more movement speed you have, it kind of correlates to like how low your cooldown would be, right? So like the more movement speed you have, the more reliably you can proc your passive, and that's just kind of how she does most of her damage. So I do think she's extremely strong. She might get a nerf. I think in the hands of really good players, you could do some crazy stuff with Akali. I'm really excited for this rework. This is probably my favorite rework in a very, very, very long time. I don't know gameplay-wise if it's as good as Warwick, because Warwick just beautifully transitioned the old kit into a modern version, and this one still has more major changes than Warwick, but I think all the changes are good. I think the champion is extremely fun, and I think the champion looks sick as fuck with that dragon tattoo and a splash art and everything. So yeah, very excited for the Akali rework. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in another video.